Hi! So, in the last video, I had only gotten to my safety. And I had mentioned that I was on 2 wait lists. I can do that. We're good. I mentioned that I was on 2 wait lists. So, I got off those 2. I got off one of the wait lists. I'm still waiting to hear back from the other one. I got off of the wait list for UCLA. So I got into UCLA. And this video is about the financial situation. If you have heard of American colleges, if you live in the United States, if you have heard of the US, you know that our colleges are expensive as fuck. There's no other way to put it. There is no nice way to put it. It doesn't matter if you are rich, it is still a struggle to pay for it. Before I begin this video, I have a disclaimer. I am middle class, and I understand that I financially am stable enough to go to a college, for both my brothers to go to college, and we can pay for that. I understand that I have a certain amount of privilege when it comes to financing my education that other people do not. And I am by no means putting that down. I'm by no means saying that in any way. I'm not equating my situation with these people. I understand that what I have is 20 times worse for these individuals. But this is me just discussing these things about how they are personally occurring to me in my life. So I got into UCLA and I got into Rutgers Honors. UCLA is double the cost of Rutgers. This is because I'm out of state. That is California. I am on the East Coast. It is out of state tuition, which I understand is obviously going to be more expensive. But holy shit, $63,000 a year is a lot of money. If I were to go to UCLA, I would be paying double what I'd be paying to go to Rutgers. So it's insane, to say the least. And I had to take a step back, look at the situation, and evaluate what is important. And with this, there is the context of undergraduate school versus graduate school. So for undergraduate school, from what I have gleaned through my research, obviously I could be wrong. As I am an 18-year-old girl who did research on my own with some help from outside sources, but overall, this is based on what I have learned. That undergraduate school brand name is not important. And it matters if you're getting the education you need and if you're getting your good grades. If you demonstrate that to a good grad school, you can get into a good grad school. Grad school brand name matters. So that's the first thing that went into my choice. When I first got into UCLA, I was ecstatic, and my mind immediately jumped to, I'm going there. Because it does have that brand name, and it does have the luxury of being in LA, and it's in California, it's the location's amazing, you understand what I mean. It's the brand name, it's a good education, it's hard to get in, which is something that people in my school really get hung up on, if it's hard to get into the school. So I had to sit down when I saw the cost, and I had to think, what is the smart option? And I had to think about this rationally rather than emotionally. And that is the information I'm bringing here. The point of this video is that with college, sometimes we have to make the tough decision, the smart decision. And I have the philosophy throughout life that you only live once, and you should spend that time doing what you feel you should do. Because you might die at any moment. But for this type of decision, it is important to first factor in your siblings or your family situation. And it is important to factor in the differences between these two schools, the two schools that you're deciding between. This is for those of you who are in the future might be dealing with this type of problem. Like, should I choose this one school because of its brand name? Obviously, I haven't been to college yet, so I can't tell you 100% for certain if I am making the right decision. But it has been technically 1 day, but technically 2 days, because 2 days ago I had already reached my decision personally, and a day ago I just confirmed it. That I'm going to Rutgers Honors rather than UCLA. Because Rutgers and UCLA are basically on the same level for education, for academics. They're basically on the same level for opportunities, etc. They're on the same fucking level. UCLA has its location, has its brand name. It has the pizzazz. That's what it has. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that is important, don't get me wrong. But it is not worth double the cost. And it is not worth the stress that comes from that. And coming from my school, seeing these two names, it is, to the people from my school, the obvious choice is UCLA. And it's not the smart decision to make in this situation. Don't get me wrong. There are some people that would be happier at UCLA. That is the correct decision for them. But you have to be smart in the sense of, do I want to just go to this college because it has that fancy title, because it's harder to get in? Or am I going because the programs excite me, because the education is better, the social academics, because the teachers excite me? Because when I got into UCLA, I'm not gonna lie, I was ecstatic because it's hard to get into. Because even though I didn't lose worth in myself when I got rejected from so many colleges, it still stung. It stung a lot. I ended up eating an entire cheesecake and ice cream by myself, crying my eyes out about it. But it did not take away from my worth as an individual, and I still understood who I was as an individual. UCLA gave me an ego boost. It definitely inflated my ego. It helped with a lot of stuff that I was dealing with in that regard, where I felt sad because I was like, why did I get rejected from so many colleges? But in the long run, I understand that UCLA, I only wanted to, don't get me wrong, it's a good school, etc. It's not just in comparison with Rutgers. The reason I wanted to go to UCLA was because it was hard to get into, because it had that brand name. It is not worth $100,000+ extra over the 4 years, not per year, because then it'd be, excuse me. It is not worth it. And I think that a lot of people need to understand that sometimes it's not worth that extra money and that extra stress and that extra burden over the years dealing with that for undergrad school. If you are not planning on going to graduate school, that is a different story. And I am speaking as someone who is going to undergraduate school with the intent to go to graduate school after that. So, I still have pain on my hands. It is important to remember, first of all, make your decision, not only your heart, with your head as well. That is important. I have a friend who's chose between Stanford and Columbia, and her gut said Columbia, but her brain said Stanford. She ended up going with Stanford. I don't know if she'll regret that decision. We shall see. But she seems content with her choice with that, in that regard. And I don't know why I'm saying all this, and it's probably very, very repetitive in this video, like I was in the last video, because I'm not going to edit this. It is so important that if you end up making this decision like I did with Rutgers, to search up the programs, to look through it, to not go into this college, your safety, or your target, whichever it is, not liking it. If you go in already being upset about where you're going, you're going to have made the wrong decision. You will not be happy. You have to go in with hope. You have to go in with understanding what you're facing and being happy about it, because if you are not, you will regret it. And I am telling this to myself. I am telling this to you. And who knows what will change? Who knows what is in store with me, which hopefully I will get around to talking about at some point. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. This is my video. I have not clicked reject on UCLA because my mom, when I went, I said, Mom, record me pressing reject to UCLA so that I'm rejecting them. They're not rejecting me. She goes, no. You have 4 more days. Don't do it. Nothing is going to change. It's just the way that I felt inside, she was kind of expressing. But I think I accepted it more than she did to an extent. So, because I was off the wait list, so I have until May 5th to make that decision. I am going to record myself rejecting it, and I'm going to post that because I am proud of where I'm going. And that is what made me not regret this decision. And that is what is making me be able to move past it. Because I'm making myself enjoy where I'm going, and I am making myself happy about it. And you have to do that. That is all. Thank you. If you watched this, if you didn't, have a nice night.